Lily Thompson had always considered herself a person in control of her life. She had a stable marriage with Mark, a man who was thoughtful, kind, and dependable. Their life together in Portland was comfortable, cozy apartment, weekend brunches, and quiet evenings with takeout and movies. But lately, comfort had started to feel like a cage. The laughter they once shared had grown sparse, replaced by polite conversation and routine. She felt a subtle distance growing between them, quiet emptiness that she couldn't quite name. Her best friend, Emma Roberts, had been her anchor for over a decade. They met in college and instantly clicked, bonded over late-night study sessions and shared secrets. Emma had always been confident, charismatic, the type of person who lit up a room just by walking in. Over the years, Lily had relied on her more than anyone to vent frustrations, share her dreams, and even to discreetly seek advice about her marriage. Emma had a way of seeing things that Lily couldn't see herself, a perspective that was sometimes comforting, sometimes challenging. One Friday evening, after another quiet dinner with Mark, Lily found herself scrolling through her phone. Emma's name flashed on the screen. She had sent a casual message. Mark seemed a little down today. Maybe he needs a friend. Lily's stomach tightened. It wasn't jealousy, not exactly, but a flutter of unease. She trusted both Mark and Emma, but something about the wording unsettled her. Was it an innocent suggestion, or did Emma see an opportunity where Lily didn't? She shook her head, trying to dismiss the thought. "I'm overthinking it," she told herself. The following weekend, Emma invited them both over for a small get-together. "Just a few friends, nothing fancy," she said, her voice light and inviting. Lily agreed, hoping a casual night would lift the tension she had been feeling at home. When they arrived, the apartment was cozy and welcoming, filled with warm lighting and soft music. People chatted, glasses clinked, and laughter filled the room. It was exactly the kind of distraction Lily thought she needed. But as the night wore on, Lily noticed something she hadn't expected. Mark and Emma were talking more animatedly than usual, leaning toward each other in ways that seemed natural but intimate at the same time. The way Mark laughed at Emma's jokes, the small gestures, a hand brushing over hers briefly, a shared smile made Lily's chest tighten. She reminded herself that they were just friends. She had seen it before, innocent interactions between people who cared for each other. But tonight, it felt different. There was a spark she couldn't ignore, a subtle energy in the way they looked at each other. Lily tried to focus on the others in the room, on conversations about work and movies, anything to distract herself. Yet every glance she cast toward the corner where Mark and Emma sat brought her stomach into knots. She felt like an outsider, watching the two people she loved most in her life share a moment she wasn't part of. And then, almost impulsively, a strange thought entered her mind. What if I just let them? She didn't know why the idea surprised her, or why it felt even remotely tempting. She told herself it wasn't jealousy, it was curiosity, a need to see for herself what this connection meant. She convinced herself it was harmless, a way to test the boundaries of trust. She quietly excused herself from the group when Mark volunteered to drive Emma home after the gathering. Lily claimed she needed to check on something outside, though in truth, she stayed by her car in the parking lot, hidden from view but within hearing distance. The drive was short, just a few blocks, but it felt like an eternity. Lily watched through the tinted windows as Mark and Emma talked, their heads close together, their gestures soft but expressive. Laughter came in low bursts, and Lily's chest tightened with a mixture of anxiety, curiosity, and a strange thrill. She hadn't expected to feel so many conflicting emotions at once. She told herself that she would not intervene, that she would simply observe. But deep down, a tiny voice whispered that what she was doing was risky emotionally, morally, spiritually. When Mark returned, Lily was still in her car. He climbed in quietly, avoiding her gaze, and started the drive back to their apartment. The silence between them was thick, uncomfortable. She could feel the tension radiating from him, a subtle awareness that something had shifted. Her heart raced, and she couldn't tell if it was from fear or anticipation. Finally, she broke the silence. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice deliberately calm. Mark glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "Yeah. Fine," he said, though his voice carried a hint of something unspoken. They drove home in near silence. Lily's mind was a whirlwind. Had she made a mistake? She tried to rationalize it. Nothing actually happened between Mark and Emma yet. She couldn't shake the feeling that the balance had shifted. The boundaries had subtly moved while she wasn't looking. The next few days were strange. Mark seemed distant, thoughtful, occasionally distracted. Lily noticed the small ways he had changed, the way he lingered on his phone, the subtle hesitations before answering her questions, the quiet pauses in conversations that had once been easy. She wanted to confront him, to demand clarity, but something held her back. Perhaps it was guilt for letting the night unfold as it did. Perhaps it was fear of shattering the fragile peace they had. Emma's texts didn't help. They were light, teasing, almost innocently flirtatious. Mark smiled so much when we talked last night. Maybe he needed that more than I realized. Lily's chest tightened. She read the message over and over, trying to interpret it, trying to tell herself it was harmless. But the thought persisted by allowing them that moment. Had she unknowingly opened a door she couldn't close? Lily spent the week in a haze of emotion. She questioned her own judgment, her trust in both Mark and Emma, and even her feelings about her marriage. She realized that the security she had relied upon for years had dulled into complacency, and that she had been avoiding emotional truths too long. The laughter, the spark, the closeness she saw, it wasn't betrayal. But it was awakening, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel. When the weekend came again, Lily decided she needed clarity. She arranged a quiet evening at home, cooking Mark's favorite meal, lighting candles, trying to create a sense of intimacy and safety. She wanted to speak with him, to understand his feelings, to bridge the silent gap that had formed. But before she could start the conversation, he said something she didn't expect. "Lily, I feel like there's something between me and Emma that I didn't see coming." Her heart stopped. The words were calm, almost casual, but their meaning hit like a wave. She listened carefully, her mind racing. Mark didn't speak of betrayal or desire. He spoke of unexpected connection, of curiosity and emotion he hadn't anticipated. It was delicate, human, and complicated. Not wrong, not cruel, but real. Lily realized then that the challenge wasn't about punishing anyone or claiming ownership. It was about understanding Mark, understanding Emma, and most importantly, understanding herself. She felt fear, yes, but also a strange sense of relief. For the first time in months, she confronted the reality she had been avoiding. Love and friendship weren't always neat. They were messy, emotional, unpredictable. That night, she made a decision not to act impulsively, not to judge, but to observe, to reflect, and to prepare herself for honest conversations. She would confront her feelings, and she would confront the reality of the three hearts involved, her own, Mark's and Emma's. It was terrifying, but it was necessary. As she lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, she whispered to herself, "I have no idea what happens next, but I need to see it for all of us." The tension hung in the air, thick and unresolved. Lily knew the next step would change everything: their relationships, her understanding of love, and perhaps even her own identity. She didn't know whether the story would end in heartbreak, reconciliation, or revelation, but she knew that she could no longer hide, ignore, or pretend. And so, the first part of her journey ended with uncertainty, with suspense, and with the quiet realization that sometimes the hardest decisions are about trust, honesty, and the courage to face emotions head-on. Cliffhanger. Lily must confront the evolving dynamic between her best friend and her husband. The next part will reveal truths, emotions, and unexpected twists. The next morning felt heavier than usual. Lily woke before sunrise, staring at the pale light slipping through the curtains. Mark was still asleep beside her, breathing steady, unaware of the storm brewing inside her. His words from the night before echoed in her mind. "I feel like there's something between me and Emma." It wasn't anger she felt, it was confusion. She wasn't ready to lose him, but she wasn't sure she wanted to fight for him either. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold long before she realized it. Her thoughts were tangled. Part of her wanted to confront Emma, demand honesty, and end this strange tension. Another part of her wanted to see where this would go, as if she were watching her own life unfold like a movie she couldn't pause. Emma texted her that afternoon, "Hey, can we talk? It's important." Lily's heart raced. The message was simple, but she knew what it meant. Emma wanted to talk about Mark. She agreed to meet her at their usual cafe, a small, quiet place they'd been going to for years. When Lily arrived, Emma was already there, dressed casually, her eyes soft but anxious. They hugged, though the embrace felt awkward to people pretending everything was normal. Emma spoke first. "Lily, I don't know how to start this." "I think you already know." Lily nodded slowly, staring into her untouched cup. "You and Mark," she said quietly. "There's something there, isn't there?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. "I didn't plan it. I swear. We just connected. It surprised me as much as it did you." Lily's heart ached, not from betrayal, but from the realization that she had seen it coming. She could sense the sincerity in Emma's tone, the conflict in her voice. This wasn't a confession of guilt, it was confusion, just like her own. "I need to ask," Lily said softly. "Did anything happen?" Emma shook her head quickly. "No, not like that. But we've talked. A lot. About you, about life, about how we've all changed. It's emotional, not physical." Lily felt a strange relief. Nothing had gone too far yet. But she also knew that emotional intimacy could be even more powerful, sometimes more dangerous than anything physical. She leaned back, exhaling deeply. "I could be angry," Lily said, her tone calm but firm. "But I'm not. Maybe because I think I understand." Emma's eyes widened slightly. "You do?" Lily nodded. "I've been distant, even with myself. I don't know what I want anymore. Maybe you and Mark found something real. Or maybe it's just a mirror of what's missing in both of us." For a moment, neither spoke. The cafe buzzed quietly around them. But it felt like the world had shrunk to their table, two women once inseparable, now tied together by something they never imagined. Lily's words surprised even herself. She didn't sound jealous or defeated. She sounded curious. A strange calm washed over her, the calm that comes when you stop fighting the truth. Emma reached across the table, her voice trembling. "Lily, I don't want to hurt you. I never meant to. I love you. You're my best friend." "I know," Lily said softly. "That's why I'm not going to stop you." Emma blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" Lily met her gaze steadily. "If you really feel something for him, I want you to explore it. I want to see what happens when I step back. Maybe it'll help all of us see things clearly." Kama froze. "You're letting me?" Lily interrupted, her voice firm, but strangely peaceful. "I'm not letting anyone do anything. I'm just not standing in the way. Maybe I need to see who Mark really is, and who I really am without him." The words hung between them like a fragile truth. Emma didn't respond immediately, her face pale, eyes searching for any sign of sarcasm or anger. But there was none. Lily meant it. That night, Lily told Mark about her conversation with Emma. He listened in stunned silence, his face a mix of disbelief and guilt. "She told you everything?" he asked quietly. "She did," Lily said. "And I told her she could see you if that's what you both want." Mark looked shocked. "You're serious?" "I am," she said calmly. "But I need you to be honest with yourself. Don't do this to test me or to prove something. Do it because you think there's something worth finding out." Mark ran a hand through his hair, speechless. "Lily, I don't want to lose you. You might already have," she said softly. "But maybe this is the only way to know." He didn't argue. He didn't promise or plead. He simply nodded, a quiet, uncertain nod that broke her heart more than any fight could have in the days that followed. Lily tried to keep herself busy. She threw herself into work, spent more time with her coworkers, and rediscovered small joys she had long ignored. Morning walks, coffee by herself, journaling. She realized she had spent so much of her life caring for others that she'd forgotten how to care for herself. But at night, the silence of her apartment felt unbearable. The thought of Mark and Emma together haunted her, not because of what they might be doing, but because she wasn't part of it. She imagined them talking, laughing, maybe even realizing what she had already suspected, that sometimes love shifts its shape and finds new forms. 2 weeks later, Emma called. Her voice was gentle but heavy. "Lily, can we talk?" They met again at the same cafe. Emma looked tired, her confidence dimmed. "I thought this would feel right," she said, eyes downcast. "But it doesn't. It's not what I imagined." Lily's chest tightened. "What happened?" Emma sighed. "Mark's a good man, kind, but everything feels off. It's like we're both trying to fill an emptiness that isn't supposed to be filled by each other." Lily nodded slowly. She wasn't surprised. She had sensed it from the start. What Mark and Emma shared was real in emotion, but incomplete in depth. It wasn't love. It was reflection, to people seeing their loneliness in each other. Then Emma looked up, her voice breaking. "I think he misses you, Lily. He talks about you all the time." Lily smiled faintly, tears forming. Maybe we all needed to get lost to find our way back. Later that night, Mark came home unexpectedly. His eyes were tired but honest. "I saw Emma today," he said quietly. "She told me you knew everything." "I did," Lily replied. He nodded, then took a deep breath. "Lily, I was wrong. What I felt with her, it wasn't what I thought. I kept waiting for it to make sense, but it never did. All it did was make me realize how much I took you for granted." Lily looked at him carefully. "And what do you want now?" "I want to start over," he said softly. Lily didn't sleep that night. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind spinning with every word Mark had said. He hadn't confessed love or guilt-only confusion. That was somehow worse. It meant there were feelings simmering under the surface, unspoken but powerful enough to change everything. By morning, Lily knew one thing: silence would destroy them faster than truth. She needed to face both Mark and Emma, even if it broke her heart. The next day, Lily called Emma. Her voice was calm, but her heart raced. "Can we talk?" "Just the two of us," she asked. Emma hesitated for a moment before agreeing. They met that afternoon at a small cafe they had both loved since college. It used to be their escape spot, filled with laughter and shared secrets. But today, it felt colder. Heavier. Emma arrived, looking nervous but composed. Her usual confidence seemed dimmed, her eyes avoiding Lily's at first. "I know why you asked me here," Emma began softly. "And before you say anything, I need to tell you I never meant for things to get complicated." Lily nodded, folding her hands around her coffee cup. "I believe you. But things are complicated. I need to understand what's happening between you and Mark. I need honesty." Emma took a deep breath, her eyes moistening. "It's not what you think. We haven't done anything wrong. But there's something. A connection, maybe. It started with simple talks about work, life, even you sometimes. He's been lonely, Lily, and I think I understood that loneliness because I've been feeling it too." The words stung, but Lily didn't interrupt. She wanted to hear the truth, no matter how painful it was. "I think we both found something we were missing," Emma continued, her voice trembling slightly. "It wasn't about attraction or wanting to hurt you. It was about feeling seen, understood. But when I realized it was crossing lines in my heart, I pulled back. I swear I did." Lily's chest tightened. Her best friend had admitted what she already suspected: emotional infidelity. A bond deeper than friendship, but not physical. It was betrayal, yes, but one wrapped in pain and sincerity. She stared at her cup, unable to speak for a long moment. Then, quietly, she said, "I don't hate you, Emma. I just don't know how to feel right now." Emma reached out, her hand trembling slightly. "I would never want to hurt you, Lily. You're like family to me. I made a mistake letting it get that far." Lily nodded slowly. "We both made mistakes," she said softly. "I saw it happening and didn't stop it. Maybe part of me was curious. Maybe I wanted to see how strong my marriage really was. But now I know it's not just about love. It's about effort, and I let that slip. There was silence between them for a while, heavy but honest. For the first time, there were no hidden feelings or polite pretenses. Just two women facing the truth. When Lily got home, she found Mark waiting at the kitchen table. He looked as if he hadn't slept either. "Emma told me you met her," he said quietly. "I needed to," Lily replied. "I wanted to hear her side before we talk." Mark nodded slowly. "I deserve that." Lily sat down across from him. "Mark, I need to know something. Did you fall in love with her?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Mark looked down at his hands, struggling to find the right words. "I don't know," he admitted finally. "I care about her, but not the way I care about you. It was more about escaping something. I felt seen by her in ways I hadn't felt in a long time. But it wasn't real. It was built on what we were both missing." Lily's throat tightened, tears threatening to spill. "So what are we missing, Mark? Because I feel like we've both been standing in the same room watching our marriage fade away, pretending everything's fine." Mark leaned forward, his voice breaking slightly. "We stopped trying. I stopped making you feel loved, and you stopped letting me in. I thought maybe this distance was just what marriage turns into after years together. But now I know it doesn't have to be." Lily looked at him, searching his eyes for sincerity. She saw pain, regret, but also something else, hope. It wasn't too late if they both wanted to rebuild. After a long pause, Lily said, "Then we start over. Not as who we were, but as who we are now. But this time, no secrets. No avoiding what hurts." Mark nodded, relief and sorrow mingling in his expression. "I want that. I'll do whatever it takes." They spent the evening really talking for the first time in months. About their fears, their mistakes, their unspoken disappointments. Lily realized how much both of them had changed over the years, but had never adjusted their relationship to match. They had been trying to love each other the same way they did in their 20s, without realizing they were now different people. Days turned into weeks. Things didn't magically heal, but small signs of change began to appear. Mark left notes for her in the mornings again. Lily cooked dinner and asked about his day. Not out of duty, but genuine curiosity. They attended counseling, something Lily once would have rejected out of pride. And slowly the walls began to crumble. Emma, meanwhile, kept her distance. She sent a brief message weeks later. "I'm giving you both space. I truly hope you find your way back to each other." It was the last message Lily received from her for a long time. Months passed and life found a rhythm again. One chilly autumn morning, Lily walked through the park where she and Emma used to meet for coffee. The leaves had turned shades of gold and red, swirling around her feet. She sat on a bench, thinking about how different life looked now. She had lost her best friend, but regained her marriage rebuilt not from perfection, but from truth. Mark joined her, sitting quietly beside her. "You okay?" he asked softly. Lily smiled faintly. "I'm getting there. It's strange. I thought forgiving you would be the hardest part. But forgiving myself took longer." Mark nodded. "I've been doing the same." They sat in silence, watching the leaves fall. For the first time in a long while. The silence between them felt peaceful instead of heavy. That evening, as they prepared dinner together, Lily received a message from Emma. Her heart skipped when she saw the name, but she opened it anyway. It simply read, "Thank you for being the kind of person who didn't turn hate into revenge. You deserve happiness, Lily. I hope one day we can talk again." Lily stared at the message for a long time, then put her phone down. She didn't reply. Not out of anger, but because she didn't need to. Some chapters weren't meant to be reopened. They were meant to be learned from Dot as the weeks turned into months. The memory of that complicated triangle softened into something less painful, almost bittersweet. It had been a storm that tore her life apart, but also cleared the air for something stronger to grow. She had learned that love wasn't about ownership or perfection, it was about forgiveness, growth, and courage. One evening, while watching the sunset with Mark, Lily whispered, "You know, If someone told me a year ago that I'd forgive both of you, I would have laughed." Mark smiled gently. "I wouldn't have believed it either." She leaned against him, feeling the warmth of his shoulder. "But I guess that's what love really is, choosing to stay when it's easier to walk away." Mark nodded, squeezing her hand. "And choosing to be honest when it's easier to hide." Lily smiled, her eyes glistening in the soft light. For the first time, she didn't feel uncertain about the future. She knew it would have challenges, but she also knew they could face them together. The story didn't end in perfect happiness, it ended in understanding. The kind of understanding that comes only from pain, forgiveness, and growth. Lily had loved, lost, and found herself again in the process, and sometimes she thought, that's what life is really about. Not the people you keep or the ones you lose, but the person you become because of them.